of the Open Public Meetings Act that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall and filed in the Township Clerk's office on April 10th, 2019. Mayor Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Here.
Mr. Bontempo?
Here.
Mr. Critelli?
Here.
Dr. Pascucci?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And everyone can please remain standing for a moment while we give a moment of silence to our troops, both home and abroad, working tirelessly to keep us safe. Thank you. Okay, first thing we want to do, we go to line item 6. We have a resolution appointing an interim chief financial officer. As some of you may or may not know, Jeanette has taken the job, I believe, as an administrator. We want to wish her the very best of luck. We will begin a search process for a full-time CFO, but in the meantime, in order to get bills paid, I need a resolution to appoint Bill Antonidis as an interim chief financial officer.
We have to go to executive.
No.
That's what it says on here.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. I talked to Mike. We don't need to do that.
Roll call to.
Yeah, we can go right to.
So I'll second that.
Motion to accept, or any discussion? Is there any discussion?
So your role, you do not do any auditing for the town, correct, Bill?
No. We don't do auditing, we do consulting work.
Okay.
Which is we don't audit the books. You have a separate auditor that you've appointed in January to the audit.
Allison's our auditor.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just so you don't do anything that would conflict with this position?
No conflict with this position and the other stuff we do.
And you're available for how long?
There's no time limit set. I mean, that depends on your search. You know, I don't have any time limit set right now.
Because I think consistency is key, right? And I'd like, if we're going to appoint you, I'd like you to be able to retain you, right? If things work out until we find the correct replacement, not have to change midstream to another person. So
I don't intend to leave anytime soon. I mean, there's no definite time set, so I won't be here for a month or half a month. So.
Or multiple months.
Yes, that's what the original intent was, during the search, and to get your permanent full-time CFO.
So this is open-ended?
Yes.
Yes.
Did we interview anybody else?
So this is just an interim position. Bill has been working with our budget. He does our AFS for us. He's intimately involved with the operations of our finance department. He's our financial consultant. He's been our auditor previously, as Committeeman Bontempo mentioned. He's in the office already, a couple times a month working with his staff. He knows the staff. So it's the best, most appropriate solution for terms of keeping things working, continuity. We'll do a search for CFO, and Bill will also be part of that to help us select and also train a new CFO.
I think it's important that we have consistency right now, particularly as we enter the budget process. So I definitely support Bill as an interim CFO for the time being.
Any other discussion, thoughts?
So your role in this, right? If you take over this position effective, I guess today with the meeting, and you uncover anything that you find to be abnormal, you'll report that to Bill.
Yes, I'd be required to under professional guidelines to do so.
And who's your chain go to? Do you report to the mayor, the
administrator? The administrator.
Okay.
Any other comments? I made a motion, Tom seconded, so roll call, please.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Critelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. I did skip approval of minutes. Sorry, line item 5.
Yes, please do.
Motion.
What was the date of that meeting?
It was for March 28th.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Critelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Okay, before I get to consent agenda, I have two amendments that I'd like to introduce. One's small, one's a little bigger. So, first off, this Tuesday, it was brought to my attention that there was some worry with our EMS and our first aid regarding the new communication system that we're going to go to. And what we do, we have a retreat in February, and we try to get organized with the budget on everyone's needs. And all of us here rely on those professionals, executive staff, to make recommendations. And one of the recommendations was for 25 portable radios. Dr. Pascucci and I sat in a meeting. I had called a meeting with the chief because we had gotten some feedback that that was not going to be sufficient. And last night I spent considerable time with an officer of EMS on the phone, and I am convinced that 25 would not be the sufficient number. So I would first ask that we're going to double that to go to 50 portables for the EMS. They are expensive, I want to be clear, but that would be an increase of another 25. I think that's very important. This second piece that I would like to introduce to the budget is a little bit bigger. As many of you know, we had preliminary talks with Ralph regarding, could we reopen his redevelopment. He was very open to building a firehouse, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from the community. I've talked to, dozens and dozens of people regarding location, regarding positives and negatives on that. And at this time, I don't want to confuse any issues. Fire safety is critical. It is really, really critical. Dr. Pascucci and I, again, have talked most days since January 1, and a real commitment to making a change when it comes to fire safety. So with that, I would also like to add $5 million to the budget so that we can build our own firehouse. The location of that firehouse is uncertain today. I do believe it should be central. I do think an area like we have land that the town owns at F&F property. There's other opportunities on Crawford's Corner Road. So we're going to need our engineer and our architect's help to find the ideal spot. But I think trying to couple fire safety with anything else is a mistake. And at this point, I'd like to put a big step forward and make sure that that happens. So those are the two things I'm asking for, to be added to the budget this year. By the way, that will not change our 0% increase for the budget.
Eric, have you worked with the administrator on and trying to find the money in order to do that? Increasing the budget?
Yes. So, today we're actually, this morning for most of the day we're going to be meeting with Moody's. Been crunching numbers over the last few weeks, and I'm very confident with the amount of revenue that will come in from Bellworks as well as other projects in town, that we are still in an incredible financial situation. And remember, this is a budget and a planning tool. It only requires 5% down. We would have to take a bond, being that you have a life. A firehouse has a very long life, so it's a longer bond. So when you take a bond, it's the life of that building. A firehouse, you might be able to get a 30-year bond, so I don't know, but certainly at least a 20-year. So the impact of the residents would be minimal. And again, based on what I've heard, and I've seen organizations start and their commitment, and I've seen a real coming together of the community, it feels to me that Holmdel is supportive of this.
So do you need a motion to second? Are you making a motion? Do you need a second to amend the budget today?
Well, yes, that is I am asking for a motion. I'm asking for a second to amend the budget.
I'll give you a second on that.
I
Mike, you
would just note, Mayor, the budget's actually under item 10. Do you want to skip ahead to that and take care of that now, and we'll backtrack to the consent agenda?
Yeah, that I do.
Then I have something I would like to say too.
We'll open up for discussion,
Too.
sure. Go ahead. So I'm going to second the motion, and then we'll open up for discussion.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. I applaud the $5 million for the firehouse. We need it now. But I also believe we need, and I would like it added to the budget, at least $400,000 for paid people in the day. Whether it's firefighters that will get first preference from our firefighters, Monday through Friday, we are weak. And we need someone there. Whether it's fire inspectors that we hire that can do other work in the town, I would like money in this year's budget for those salaries. So I'm recommending at least $400,000 in salaries for that position. I would like that added to the budget.
Mr. Mayor, I also believe that the first aid requested originally 60 radios. I believe they were willing to go down to 55. I think 55 is the minimum you can go to.
Excuse me, Mike, can you clarify the fact that we have a motion and it doesn't address the radios at this point?
At this point, any discussion on the budget as
Okay, I'm
amended
sorry.
would be proper.
So Mike, I do appreciate that. So I had a conversation last night with one of the officers, and I'm certainly not going to squabble about an additional 5, but we looked at the amount of associate officers. Jeff Ackerson, who was spearheading this project for the last 18 months, they felt, and I was in the room when the gentleman who provides all these still stood by the number of 25. However, because any of the associates are not allowed to drive alone, so I'm not going to squabble about 5, at the end of the day, but I think going from 25 to 50 was a significant jump, and I think it will solve, certainly, it's a new process, and I don't think we need to go above or over. We can study and see how it goes, and at the end of the day, if they need another 5, 10, or 15, then we can adjust the following year. I will respond, Rocco, and again, we've spent a lot of time with the volunteers. The one thing that has been clear from the chief is that he feels that it will have a large negative cultural thing if we dedicate professional firemen today. So as much as I am very open to different employees here that would have fire background, fire safety. I disagree that we would actually hire pure professional firefighters.
Well, I've spoken to the chief too again, and his response, when I brought up that they would get first right of refusal for those positions, the eyes lit up. So I'm not saying either which way to go yet, that we can debate, but there is a deficiency in the daytime, there is, and we need people. So I would like the money in the budget, and we can discuss who we're gonna hire, but I think that money has to be in the budget now.
I don't disagree with the doctor that we allocate $400,000 into the budget and we debate and discuss and analyze whether it's the right thing to do in the months ahead. So as long as our interim CFO feels we can do that.
As of right now, you have $275,000 left in your cap. So to put $400,000 in there is not going to fit.
So what we could do, so since half the year's already gone, it wouldn't be a full year salary, so we could put in about $200,000. That would allow us to hire people, because it wouldn't be paid for the full
If
year.
you think about it, by the time they got trained, if they were new, they wouldn't be available for July anyway.
And also, just remember, we're a civil service town, so we have to follow civil service rules, so we can't arbitrarily, unfortunately, we get a list to hire people from, so we would have to work that out, but it can be done.
Right, it can be done, and if they're
Yes.
part-time, it might make it easier.
Civil service is real strict, but we can certainly work it out.
Well,
We can certainly work it out. So we
my
can put
opinion,
in, we
it
can
has
put
to
in the
be done now.
200.
So Dr. Mascucci, can we put in the 200 so we stay under the cap and that covers for the first half of the year?
50.
I take the 275. You have 275 left, you said, right?
Yes.
Do the two, so consensus 275.
I'm good with that.
Because that would be effective.
Does the CFO is there any reason to hold back 25 or anything for just in case of a
Well,
rounding error? I hate to take it to the limit.
Our biggest problem is going to be that it impacts we don't have no cap bank for next year, which will restrict how much we can put in the budget for 2020.
Is there a difference if I go to 250 to leave a little cushion, not leave a little cushion?
Your difference is going to be what your cap bank is. We used all the cap bank for last year, which was like 1.3 million, so that'll bring us down to like 700,000 next year. We can increase our budget by. So what it impacts what we can utilize next year.
We can increase our budget by more than $700,000 next year if we do this year.
And
Okay.
again,
But I guess there's not a difference between 250 and 275. I didn't know getting to the top, it's like getting ready to bounce the check, getting ready to bank, going to the negative on your deficit. Okay, that's great.
So on the 5 million.
Yep.
So, good, I like it. So what's the plan? Is that for firehouse and the ladder truck?
No, so we had already budgeted $800,000 or $900,000 for a new truck.
So we had 500 last year I put in, right, from 2018 when Tom was mayor. We put in the budget for 5. So we have 500,000 carryover we haven't used yet. So we're including that in payment for this vehicle?
So the vehicle that the fire chief has given to us, the quote was for $753,000. So we have enough. We put 800,000 in this year, and as you said, there's 500 left. So the vehicle that they would like to order is about $800,000.
So we have 500 carried forward, right? 500 carried forward, in addition to what the mayor just asked for. So we're gonna have 5.5 in our budget. I know there was a discussion for a ladder truck too and a firehouse, right? So 5.5, is that?
Listen, to this day, Greg, we don't know. I mean, this was very late in the cycle, so we don't know if a firehouse costs us $3 million or $7 million. It's going to take now planning. We have to get the architect involved, the engineer. We need the location. Again, you know, I've written down Crawford's. The report, as Dr. Rocco said, specifies the middle of town. F&F would be a wonderful location if we can, you know, if we can situate that. So I think what we need to do before we start is we're going to get them a brand new truck this year. That's what the advantage of this particular truck was. At the end of the day, this location, once it's decided and once we get the designs, we'll know what that exact amount of money is, and we'll work as quickly as we can. And at that point, we're going to have to adjust. Maybe 5 is too little, maybe it's too much, but we'll know that answer in the next 3 to 4 months. You don't raise your hand, Rob.
The original numbers that we had last week was $2 million to renovate Crawford's Corner, right? Is that what we said in the last meeting?
I don't know, but you know, I've talked to 3 or 4 different people, structural engineers. You know, it feels that we're putting, you know, trying to, you know, have a staff one with a Band-Aid there. It just doesn't feel that is the right way to do it. And at the end of the day, if we're a little closer to Southern Holmdel, which has clearly been on the minds of a lot of people at F&F, and it can work there, and there are a few other locations, so we're going to have to, as a group, work together.
And Mayor, if I might,
and find out that ideal location.
We could have the architect give us an estimate for Crawford's Corner as well as building a brand new one, so you have something to look at. And there would be some other locations in town we could also include. So we can have him give us a rendering for Crawford's Corner, for the site next to F&F, and any other places you want us to look.
So he's coming this week, I understand?
He was actually here last week, and I told him to start looking at other places in town. And as I told you, you know, F&F is something he's going to do a little rendering for, not a full scale, just to get us across.
Crawford's Corner.
All right, I'll have him do Crawford's Corner too then.
Rob, just real quick, with this money, is this enough for a level 3 disaster resistant building for fire?
Again, that's way above my pay grade. That's why we need the architect to look at that.
And we can take care of all that.
Yeah, that's something that,
No, I think it's a good point, Mike. So we'll get, you know, we'll find out, and clearly he'll be able to give us options. You know, do we need what is appropriate and what's best for Holmdel?
Just,
Go ahead, Mike.
just getting back to the radios for our EMS. Currently, our first aid squad is permitted up to 80 members. I believe the EMS chief requested 60. There was a discussion about how much is actually relevant and how much is actually needed, but 55 was the number I heard was the compromise to get us going. And listen, I know fire and EMS operate differently. Okay. EMS operates before we get to a scene, and fire operates when they get to a scene.
I understand that, Mike, but again,
it's super important, and it's very critical that we be able to communicate, that EMTs, our drivers, first responders be able to communicate with each other before they get to a scene.
I totally agree, and that's why I took the initiative to call a meeting and have all of the EMS there on call with the chief and with Ackerson, because I was concerned. At the end of the day, the officer I spoke with last night made the fair point that said, hey, my son is one of those numbers. He's in college right now. We have a number of college students, so we're going to have a $7,000 portable radio that's really not being utilized. So I make it clear, I'll go to 100 if we have 100 volunteers that are active. Today, the motion is to go from 25 to 50 and then reevaluate.
are you asking for 55?
55. I think 55 is what is the number of members we have right now. So the first aid has.
Mr. Mayor, this 55.
It's just silly, is what it is.
It's not silly.
It is, because we'll make it 52 and a half. I mean, it's at the end of the day, I was in the meeting. Rocco, you were there with me. We spent the time. One of the officers said, let's go to 40. So at the end of the day, look, it's $35,000 is not going to change things. It's just, it's a $7,000 instrument that I would also like to know it's being cared for. It's not being, sitting on some, college student's dresser. So
It's
I
not.
don't think that it's unreasonable to say, show me the list, show me who's active, and if we need to get 1 or 2 or 3 extra, we will. But let's remind that a budget is a planning tool. So,
And I also think that, putting anybody's life in jeopardy is not, is not
Can I make a
like
suggestion,
that.
since we're all here for fire safety, public safety is our number one option, and people can see that's what we're doing. Mike's been a first aid guy and a firefighter. I'm gonna defer to him, and I think it's crazy for us to argue over 5. Let's do the 55, Mr. Mayor.
okay, Doc Rock.
Thank you very much.
Motion. So where am I at? Mike, you want to
If I
recap?
could just, okay, so I guess a question for our CFO, Bill. If we amend the motion, will you have enough in order to kind of make the suggested amendments to the budget that we're introducing here?
Yes, I can make it before you file with the state. It will not impact your tax rate at all. That'll stay the same that's in there. So.
Okay, very good. So I guess what I would, if that's good, Donna, are you good with that as well? Okay, great. So what I would propose is just, I think there's a modification to the motion you originally made, Mayor. Originally, I believe you introduced the 50 radios, 5 million for a firehouse, and if my understanding is correct, we're modifying that to 55 radios, 5 million for the firehouse, and 275,000 in the operating for the paid drivers. Is that correct?
You got it.
Okay,
And I'll
so
second that.
Okay, so that motion is now modified as moved and seconded.
I would just clarify, don't call them paid drivers.
Sure, okay.
I would just call them fire, salary, employees within the Department of Community Development, fire inspector, something like that.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
As long as it could be, with that title.
They can be firemen during the day.
They can be fired. As long as they can be fired.
Thank you, Don.
Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Cattelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. So then I got to backtrack to the rest of consent agenda. So that's, I guess I can just do consent agenda at this point. Consent agenda.
I'd like to pull 127 on there for questions.
Okay, 127.
What's up?
127.
So there's a motion to adopt the consent agenda without 127 at this point?
Yes.
I'll second that motion. I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Cattelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. All right. Dr. Pascucci, 127.
I got a question on 127. I don't understand why it has to be done. Can you explain to me? Suppose in the future, my thinking, because we already had an agenda item like that, we wanted to do something with these co-ops. Couldn't we at that time approve those co-ops? Or we have to approve the co-ops now? I don't get it.
Dr. Pascucci, I have on my agenda 127 being the resolution to read the budget by title only.
No, not here.
Not on the one
That's what I
on.
have.
129, Rocco.
That's what I have, it's 120.
You mentioned
It says here, all right, so,
Oh.
No, on the iPad, it has 2019-127 co-op.
If you click on it, does it open in a co-op?
Mine still says
When I
title.
click on
yeah,
127,
but
I
it
get
says ratifying co-op.
Yeah, mine does still.
Perhaps, Doctor, I can answer your question regardless of whether or not we're on the same item. So, I'm sorry, can you repeat your question, Doctor?
This one.
I don't understand why we have to ratify these co-ops. Say we use these co-ops in the future, couldn't we ratify them at the time that we're using them? Or we have to ratify that we can use them, not that we approve the project, but that we use them now? I don't get it.
I think you could handle it either way. I think typically the township enters into agreements with the entities, so it's helpful to have a resolution approving the cooperative so that your purchasing agent can go ahead, enter into the contracts and the necessary documents to be a member of the cooperative. But obviously, you don't need to be a member of the cooperative unless you were looking to complete a procurement from it, if that answers your question.
Still, I'm a little confused. Suppose we want to enter into whichever of the co-ops. Can it be done without all of us agreeing, if we agree to this?
Any entry into a contract requires a resolution of the governing
It goes on the
body.
consent. So whenever we enter into a co-op, we list them on the agenda, and it goes on the consent. We're entering the ABC co-op, the XYZ co-op, and they're all listed. So we're a member of a lot of co-ops.
Is your question, can work be done with a co-op before it's approved by us? Is that your
Yes.
question?
No, no,
Okay. So no work can be done by co-op before it's approved by us?
correct.
I noticed this is the Middlesex County Co-op. Are there other co-ops?
But there's a couple on here, correct?
But this one is specifically, I think, Middlesex County. I'm just wondering how we got to Middlesex.
They're just different names. We have co-ops with different names.
Is there a Monmouth County one?
I don't know that they have one. Different, it's not
Morris
specific to the county.
County? I mean, I know, just.
I can give you a list of everyone that we're a member of. I think we're probably more 30 or 40 at least. We're throughout the country, these co-ops exist. It's not specific to a specific county. It's just different co-ops have different arrangements with different vendors.
Are there benefits to one versus the other?
Cost-wise, the only reason we would use a co-op is the cost is less. So Victor, for example, wanted a street sweeper last year, and it was in XYZ co-op. So we put the co-op on the agenda, and we got the cost of a sweeper for half the price we would have gotten it on state contract or a different co-op.
So this is better than state contract?
Sometimes, it depends. This is where our purchasing agent and staff members do their due diligence to get the, best dollar that we can. So, and normally the resolutions are done at the beginning of the year. I believe this one had already been done though. I think we had a little bit of confusion. I think this was already approved back in January because the police, I believe, have used them before. So we'll clear that up. Our purchasing agent was on vacation last week, so she's going through all this. We just couldn't find the resolution. So all these have already been approved, but we're just doing our due diligence because the police wanted to buy a certain item on this co-op.
As long as it has to be an approved agenda item, not hidden in bills payable over $350,000, I'm for this. You get $3,500. So you get where I'm coming from? You do.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mike?
I think if we could backtrack, Mayor, so Dr. Pascucci had pulled Resolution 2019-127, which we have here as a resolution to read the budget by title only. I think as a motion and a second would be good on that.
Motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
I will abstain.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Item 8, introduction of ordinance, the cap bank ordinance. We do this every year.
Sorry,
All right.
I'm behind the 8 ball here.
Learning curve. We're all struggling. But it's a better system. Proud of you, Wendy.
Thank you. I can find it. Calendar year 2019 model ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Ordinance 2019-04.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Roll call?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. We have a little bond swap going on. Resolution combining several authorizations of bonds into a single issue, as we discussed at the retreat. You want to read it? Or do it? No, I don't.
You guys
So,
all read it, correct?
Motion,
I'll second that motion.
roll call?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yep.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Mike, anything?
No reports. Actually, Mayor, I think we have one other
One.
resolution. It's the details resolution.
Oh, I'm
for
sorry,
bond.
I did skip that. Details resolution, motion,
Second.
roll call?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Nothing from attorney?
Correct.
Nothing from engineer? Boards or committees? Rocco? I think we probably talked about most of your board tonight.
Very, very pleased today.
It's always happy to,
No, I don't want
it's always happy to see you happy, Doctor. Greg, anything?
All good.
Thomas?
Nothing.
Gregory.
There.
Ready?
I mean, I'm sorry, Michael. Michael?
I'm good right now, thank you.
Public?
Oh, geez, so much to choose from. I'm going to go with Ralph.
Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. Good evening or good morning. Couple of comments in terms of what's going on recently.
You just speak up.
No, swallow this.
Just so you know, that was your wife.
That I was pleased to hear some of the discussion this morning. I know when you first got inaugurated as mayor this year, Eric, you talked about having greater transparency this year and openness. Well, it's been very much lacking. And I hope you will all work together a little better in that regard. To my mind, things that are potentially discussable shouldn't even be on the consent agenda. That you should make it obvious that there's a time and a place for discussion. I'd like to get a little clarification about what happened so far this morning with regard to the budget. You started by introducing some changes to the budget. And that, to my mind, was an amendment to the budget rather than an introduction. Was that the introduction, or was it the introduction of an amended budget, or just what did that?
Amendment to the introduction of the budget.
And which budget? In that there are two budgets, my understanding is there's an operating budget and a capital budget.
It's all included. It's the same budget document.
So one document includes both?
Yes. And it's a capital plan, and it's in the back part of the budget.
But that's separate from actually adopting this year's capital program.
So the capital program is part of the municipal budget. When we go to utilize the money in the capital, we do a bond ordinance for it. So we have items listed. We have our roads, we have our vehicles and whatnot.
Right.
And we have part of a 6-year plan. Once that is introduced, the budget's adopted, we can then move forward with our capital purchasing for the year.
So that what was amended earlier was, some of it was operating and some of it was capital.
Correct.
The 5 million was capital.
Correct.
The 200 or thou was
275.
operating.
Yes, we'll also have to amend the operating budget to include additional money for the down payment of the increase in the capital program.
And the radios, was that, which part of the budget was that?
Capital.
Okay, I mean, it's easy to mix these things up, and from your discussion, it was not at all clear what was where. You agreed to introduce the budget by title only. When can people see the budget as amended?
Probably next couple of days.
Next couple of days,
Yeah.
we have to, it'll be advertised in the paper, it'll be available in the clerk's office for anybody to inspect.
Well, what's advertised is usually what I call a summary rather than the complete
It'll also be
budget.
posted online, and you'll see the easy-to-use budget that the state requires the town to put out, and it'll have all the amendments that were discussed, and that's why I clarified them so that the CFO knew precisely what was being modified from whatever draft document there was, and that'll be available to the public, and the notice for the public hearing has to be at least 10 days in advance, so there will be ample public
So
opportunity. to
hopefully
review.
within a couple of days, it will appear somewhere online.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah, we should get it done next couple of days.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask in the interest of time, if everybody could just answer all their questions, and then we'll try to answer them in one shot. Go ahead, Scott.
Scott Goldstein, 24 Slow Drive. At the last Board of Ed meeting, there was a discussion about the shared service agreement with the town regarding the lights for Vision 2020. I was curious to hear where the town is.
Is that your only question, Scott?
No, I just want to thank you for taking your aggressive steps today to address fire safety. I think it's wonderful that we're planning ahead for this. My concern is what we're doing for the next 60, 90, 180 days to deal with fire safety, because building a new fire House is a very long process. We do things for the interim, so I want you to, I'm not looking for an answer for that, I just want to let you know that we have to do things today to deal with the interim issue here as far as fire safety.
Mike, you want to answer where we are with the legal?
Sure, Mayor. We sent over a draft of a shared services agreement to the Board of Ed's attorneys. I'm not quite sure what due diligence they've done on their end. It sounds like they had a discussion at their meeting. If there are terms on both sides that are worked out, hopefully soon, then both the Board of Ed and the Township Committee would then take it, and they would both need to formally approve it in order for it to become effective.
We anticipate that to be done on May 1st.
Excuse me?
We anticipate that to be agreed upon and done by May 1st.
I'm actually waiting for them to send back a draft with their requested changes, but, you know, it's all a work in progress.
Okay, so which is great. What I got the sense of, it sounded like they were waiting for you, you were waiting for them.
No.
Obviously, we need to
So-
drive this for the
Yeah,
benefit.
they have it, it's all worked out, we've had plenty of communication, it'll be done soon.
Great.
Thank you. The woman coming hard in the back, sure. Yeah. I wasn't gonna mess with that, you were coming, I know that look.
First, my name, should I give my name?
Yes, and your address.
Joy Luciani, 10 Country Square Lane, of course, in Holmdel. I like to
Social? No, I'm only kidding.
Okay, I'd like to thank the board and Mayor Hines for considering fire safety a top priority. And
Funny.
also,
Not that funny.
allocating the $5 million for our own firehouse instead of being dependent on a developer and then being tied to 195 apartment buildings. I'd also like the board to reconsider the second priority as being renovating the existing sports facilities that we already have and are in great need of renovation. I hope this is taken into account before we go into any new large athletic, for lack of the right words, proposals.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you. Jenny, I think Carol was up first, I'm gonna give Carol a shot.
Carol Bomber, 96 Middletown Road, Holmdel.
Okay?
I always try to...
Mic drop.
Thanks. Okay. Can you hear me? Is this on?
Yep.
Yes? Okay. I too would like to congratulate you on moving forward in the fire service. I think it's about time, and I think you're moving forward in the right direction. I would like to put forth that I think improving an existing structure is better than going with a new structure, and for you to consider that. Okay? Also, I'd like to congratulate you on your resolution for the natural gas line going to Raritan Bay, the resolution that you approved tonight for COA. That's COA suggested, Clean Ocean Action. On that note, I'd like to know, how much have you put in the budget for this year or next year regarding litigation for our own natural gas situation in Holmdel?
So we have money allocated for general litigation. We're still moving forward with that. We hired a special attorney, a special counsel a few months ago. He's working with them, so we'll continue to fight that as needed.
Okay, but you have allocated funds for
There's funding for litigation in our budget.
how much?
I don't know off the top of my head. It's not specific, doesn't say natural gas litigation, it says litigation in general. And we've upped that budget, we've increased it from last year.
Okay, so you still intend to pursue that, is correct?
Yes.
Okay. Also, there's a missing date on page 71 of the budget as far as maturity date for the bonds. Can you tell me what the maturity date would be?
Are you talking about the bond sale that we just
Yes,
consolidated?
page 71 of your budget.
It's not the,
Well, Carol, I'll have to get back to you. I don't have that in front of me right now.
Do you know the maturity date for the bonds?
I don't have what you're talking, the document you're talking about.
Oh, I have it right here. Would you like to look at it?
you can show Bill, he's right there. You can just show Bill.
Oh, this is one brief one, going out to bid.
Okay.
Because we gotta go out, we're getting a bond rating today, and we'll go out to bid to the public. So we got to go out for, we go out to the market and they bid on the bonds, and those will be filled in until we actually get the bids back.
And when, I might have missed it, but when's the date for the public hearing on the budget?
Second week in May,
May 14th?
May 14th, 13th, 14th, the first, second Tuesday in May.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can we have the mic back?
Yeah, talking to the noise.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public? Jenny?
Jenny Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. Last week, there was a hearing on color in Freehold. What happened?
The judge approved our settlement agreement with Fair Share.
The whole 9 yards?
The whole 9 yards. I'm still waiting for an update from the attorney that I'll share with the committee. I should have that by Friday, and we'll get that up on the website by Monday.
And when does that goes into effect?
So
when you start doing something as a result of that?
we have a due diligence period of, I think, about 150 days or 160 days. That will include introduction of zoning ordinances and some other things that we need to do. So that'll be done over the next couple of months.
And does that take care of our whole obligation for this round?
It does.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? See, oh, a couple late ones. I was ready to close the door, gentlemen. Let's keep those hands up early and often. That's good, Ken, I got you now. Go ahead.
Randy Rauscher, 36 Blue Hills Drive. Do we have money in the budget for next time? We have a morning meeting, we have coffee and donuts at the back of the room.
That's fair. You know what, I'll buy it. We have to do a morning.
Again, I echo what's already been said about the fire safety and the path that we're taking. I have special thanks to Dr. Rock, I think that's his new moniker, and I didn't make that up. I didn't say that.
Randy, point of clarification, it's Doc Rock.
Doc Rock, okay, thank you. Yes, I want to thank you guys that we're on the right path. I'm so happy about that. There was a collective sigh of relief in the back of the room. Just to pick up a little bit on what Ralph was referring to when he started to ask about the consent agenda, just help me understand a little bit about the concept of a consent agenda. It's historically, from what I've seen in the past, it's small ticket items, medium ticket items, stuff that is more like housekeeping. But the meeting that didn't happen last week had a big ticket item. Thankfully that's gone, but it was something in the order of $2 million. I was shocked to find that was in amongst the consent agenda items. Is that typical, that we would put a big item like that in the consent agenda?
I don't know.
Okay, historically, I don't think it is.
Maybe not.
And just out of curiosity, the resolution that was in last week's meeting about the project at the swim club included the statement that the CFO had certified adequate funds for the contracts would be available, and now she's gone. Is there some correlation, direct or indirect?
No, that's just standard language. For anything that we buy, the CFO has to certify funds. There has to be a line item in the budget that we just adopted that goes towards that. So that's just boilerplate language. It has nothing to do with anything.
So there's no relation?
No, not at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
And I would note the first action we took today was appointing the CFO so that we could take the actions that were taken at today's meeting.
Right, I understand. Okay, it just seemed, from an outsider, it's like there was a cause and effect that her departure correlated with that project.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you. Ken?
Ken G, 8 Sage Street. I want to make a resident motion to add to the budget for a new microphone, so if any resident walk away with it. No, it feels like a lot of you guys get a lot of flack from the public anytime things go on, so I just want to add to it. I know it's been said by a number of people already, but thank you all to all the Township Committee for the fire safety improvement, adding that big dollar amount to there, and some discussion about pay staff or what, but this is a huge deal. You can hear from all the residents saying thank you to all of you guys. So you guys get all the flack, but you get credit too when things go right. So Mayor, I know you get a lot of flack, you get a lot of heat, your parents know me, and I'm sure they hear from me as well too. But Doc Rock, thank you. The rest of you guys who have voted for this, this is great. Our applause heads to you guys.
Thank you, Ken.
Let's end the public discussion, please, on that positive note.
Sorry to ruin your morning. Jay, you know 18 Ladwood Drive. I would like to first thank you for getting to this point, Mr. Vescucci, everyone, Eric, for allocating this money. I do want to echo the comments and maybe be a little more straightforward than Randy, and Donna in particular to you. That item on the consent agenda was very disappointing to a lot of people.
Why are you directing that at me, Jay?
I would think in your role, did you not see that in the consent agenda?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would think we have township committee members, and you are the township administrator. Are you not effectively like the CEO?
I don't set the agenda, Jay. The clerk, the CFO, and the mayor are the ones that set the agenda.
So you don't?
Oh, I'm aware, absolutely.
You're aware, okay.
Yeah, of course.
I would just, okay, then I'll pull that back.
Okay, that's fine. Just,
I apologize.
no problem.
Collectively, everyone. You know I've been an activist or agitator over the years, and recent years. I can tell you there are dozens of Jays now behind the scenes. Candidly, many I don't want to hear from at 10 o'clock at night, at 8 in the morning. There are more eyes on this committee and budget and what's going on than I could ever have imagined. And I would just encourage you to save everyone a lot of time and aggravation to just increase further transparency and not have issues like last week. Thank you.
Good feedback, thank you.
May I make just a quick statement?
Sure.
I think we all learned, Jay. We all learned this will never happen again. It was totally unacceptable what happened, and I think we all learned from this, okay?
Thank you.
No other comments? Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Have a great morning. Thank you.